The River of Madness. Aaliyah paused for a moment, then her eyes wandered around the room as she sat in the position Ollie had designated for her. He was engrossed in drawing her, listening to her as if he were sketching her features based on what he heard rather than what he saw. Her features were adorned with a faint smile, and she resumed speaking in a tone filled with sorrow. I once asked him. I was about 16 years old at the time, and the words stumbled in my mouth before my tongue could utter them. I couldn't even look him in the eye out of shame for my question, and because I knew full well of his innocence from the accusations against him. I said to him, "Grandpa, why do they say you're crazy?" I expected him to slap me, though he had never done so before, or at least scold me, and then kick me out of his room after such an impudent question. I remember feeling regret immediately after asking him that question, as if I had thrown a stone at him. But it was my lack of experience that drove me to ask such direct, blunt questions that undoubtedly hurt others. And if some laughed at them, as my grandfather did at the time, I was surprised when he laughed his distinctive laugh, which always came from the heart. Then he said to me, "I'll tell you a story you might not have heard before." I was excited to hear the story because he had always amazed me with the wonderful tales he told me since I was a child. I was also eager to hear his answer to my question through that story. I knew he would answer my question through the story, that much was clear to me. His laughter wasn't an escape from answering. I had never known him to avoid confrontation. Then he began to tell me the story of the king, his minister, and the River of Madness. I had indeed never heard it before. Ollie nodded his head with a smile, speaking in a tone that suggested to Aaliyah that he knew the story, prompting her to move on to the next point. Yes. Aaliyah continued her story. After my grandfather finished the story, he surprised me with a question. Was the king and his minister's action correct? I said to him, "Honestly, I don't know. But if I were in their place, I would have done the same and drunk from the river like they did." My grandfather said, "In my opinion, the king and his minister chose the easiest solution. They could have done something else, which would have been more difficult and time-consuming. Even if the people thought at the time that the king and his minister were the ones who had gone mad and not themselves, when the goal is noble, one shouldn't pay attention to such things." I said to him, "But Grandpa, the task would be extremely difficult." He said to me, "Yes, my dear, it is indeed difficult. But when one is right among a group of madmen, they shouldn't expect anything other than ridicule and accusations of madness. Do you understand what I'm saying?" I threw myself into his arms and said, "Yes, Grandpa, I understand you very well, and I love you very much." Then Aaliyah stopped speaking, for her tears were now speaking on her behalf in silence as she gazed out the window. Ollie said to her in a calm tone, "You can move now as you wish, Aaliyah. The painting is almost finished, and I can complete it at any time without needing to torture you with this exhausting session." Aaliyah did not respond to what he said and continued to gaze out the window, her tears not stopping. He wanted to lighten the mood, so he said to her, "Anyway, that session has many benefits, just like the yoga you love. If it weren't for that, you wouldn't have been able to endure sitting like this for so long." Finally, Aaliyah noticed and looked at him, smiling through her tears out of politeness. Then she quickly got up, grabbed a paper napkin from the box on a nearby table, took a cigarette from her pack, lit it, and threw herself onto another couch opposite the table. Ollie put his brushes and paints aside and sat on the couch across from her, sighing. Then he said, "Your grandfather was truly a remarkable man, Aaliyah. My father never mentioned him except with the utmost respect. They were the best of friends." She replied in a calm tone, exhaling cigarette smoke, "Your father, unfortunately, was not spared from people accusing him of madness either." Ollie laughed, interlocked his fingers behind his head, leaned back and said, "May God have mercy on them both. They left with the beautiful things that have gone and are rare to find these days." Aaliyah hastily put out her cigarette, not even halfway through it, and said, How I wish people would accuse me of madness too. But I failed to follow my grandfather's path, despite my complete belief in his ideas. Instead, I took the path to the river like everyone else. Ali said in a serious tone. What I know about you, Alia, is that you've never drunk from the river. But perhaps your occasional visits to its banks give people the impression that you've drunk from it like them, which is why no one accuses you of madness. Alia looked at him angrily and said sharply, Is that your opinion? Ali looked at her in confusion, not understanding anything. Before he could utter a word, Alia had already left his house, slamming the door behind her.